Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out. We really appreciate you guys being here. Welcome to the 2023 College of DuPage Distinguished Alumni Awards ceremony. My name is Walter Johnson, and I'm the Vice President of Institutional Advancement, and it really is an honor to be able to play a part in this morning's ceremony. Before I begin, as tradition dictates, I want to make sure that I recognize some of our honored and distinguished guests that are in the room. You are sitting in the McAninch Arts Center, and it is an honor to recognize and introduce Dr. Hal McAninch and his wife. Dr. McAninch is former president of College of DuPage. Dr. McAninch, where are you? There he is. Also scheduled to join us this morning, I didn't see her, but I don't think I should not mention her name. Also supposed to join us this morning was the Honorable Judge Bonnie Wheaton, who was, oh, Bonnie, there you are, I see you. Bonnie was just elected by her fellow court judges to serve as the next Chief Judge of the 18th Judicial Circuit Court. Congratulations, Bonnie. Also with us this morning are a couple of our College of DuPage trustees. I want to recognize Trustee Florence Appel. Trustee Appel. And I would just be stupid, flat out stupid, if I didn't recognize my boss's boss, our board chair, the Honorable Christine Finney. Yes, all of the honorable people showed up this morning, so bear with me. I also want to recognize a couple of our cabinet members that are here. Wendy McAninch, who serves as our Director of Public and Government Affairs and Special Assistant to the President, and the trustees. I know I saw you, Wendy, someplace. There she is back there. And our provost is here, Dr. Mark Curtis Chavez. Also, we have several members of our foundation board, and I'm going to call their names out and then ask if you would all stand up together. On our foundation board, from our foundation board, we have David Fox, Kathy Leitz, Sherman Neal, and a 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award winner, Lori Swanson. If you could please stand. Then from our executive committee, of our alumni executive committee, who really has helped bring all of this back, our Distinguished Alumni Awards, our off-campus receptions, et cetera. We couldn't do it without this group. And here with us this morning, we have Bonnie Bailey, Mark Pfefferman, Stephanie Quirk, Stephen Scott is with us, and Angel Traub, who was also a honoree last year and is a distinguished alum. If you could all please stand and be recognized, I would greatly appreciate that. And then finally, we have some previous distinguished alums here in the room, other than the two that I just recognized. I want to have these individuals stand as well and be honored. Jim Elliott, Dillis Galloway, I got it. Gallio, sorry. Janice Miller, Mark Pfefferman, Adele Lesmeister, I'm sorry if I messed that up. Tony Vanessa and Marco Benisi, if you all would please stand and be recognized, we would greatly appreciate it. Now, I do have a few opening remarks before I turn it over to the president, but I've changed them a little bit. And I'm going to tell a little story, but I want to provide some facts before I tell the story. College of DuPage was founded in September of 1967. In the 56 years since we've opened, we have created, we have been honored by, and we lay claim to 120,000 former students who are identified as College of DuPage alum. However, only 50 former COD students have been honored with the title of Distinguished. Today, we add 5 more to that list. Only 50 have been honored with the title of Distinguished. Quick story, because for me, it tells you and it tells me kind of the depth and breadth of COD and what it really means to so many different people. I had the pleasure earlier this year of meeting Frank, and I'm not calling him out. I won't give you his last name, but he's smiling because he knows I'm about to talk about him. Well, he didn't know until this moment I was about to talk about him. I met Frank for breakfast with the president, and he told a story, and I'm going to share that story with you. He joined the military, served our country, got the GI Bill. Decided he was going to go to college, and back in the 60s, when we were founded, we were not 2.3 million square feet under roof. And in fact, according to him, registration was on Roosevelt Road in Glen Ellen, and I don't even know what was there at the time, but apparently we had a space there, and he went there to register for classes. And the first person that he met was a young woman who apparently was recruiting, and she was a part of the cheerleading squad. And he's been married to her for close to 50-something years. That's a COD story. And we have them all over the country. And so I thought I would share that with you this morning. Skip the rest of my remarks. Thank you again for being here. And now I would like to introduce the president of College of DuPage, Dr. Brian Caputo.
Thank you, Walter, for that introduction, and thank you all so much for being here. It's really is a great turnout after we have essentially restarted the recognition of distinguished alumni. This is our second year back at this. We've taken advantage of to recognize these individuals, and these individuals have taken advantage of College of DuPage and we've offered them the ability to build their careers. They've done that. They've taken their education and furthered it to establish impressive careers. We have a former student who is a robotics engineer focusing on development of sustainable farming automation. We have a former outstanding graduate who earned 3 associate's degrees, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and currently works as a corporate paralegal. We have a graduate of Boston University School of Medicine who first moved to the U.S. with her family when she was 18 years old and is now a pediatrician. We have a corporate executive who is an expert in government strategy, public finance, and administration. And finally, we have an entrepreneur who is a CEO in her own marketing and public relations agency, established 2 nonprofit organizations, and published 32 books. These 5 alumni exemplify the community college experience. They came to us from all walks of life for help in reaching their goals, and they are now using that knowledge and those skills that they acquired to distinguish themselves at the highest levels. I want to thank the college's Alumni Engagement Office, which does an absolutely exceptional job of staying in touch with our former students and keeping us connected to them. Their stories of success demonstrate the positive impact that College of DuPage has on real people. Finally, to our distinguished alumni, congratulations. We are proud to call you chaparrals. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker, Bonnie Bailey. Bonnie is one of our outstanding graduates from 2022. She graduated from a hospitality and management program. She is currently a member of the Chaparral Alumni Network Executive Committee. Please welcome Bonnie Bailey.
Thank you, Dr. Caputo. I appreciate that. I love gatherings like this, where we get to spotlight and celebrate extraordinary accomplishments and success. When I graduated from COD last year, I stepped into the travel industry, and I'm happy to report that it has rebounded with tsunami-level demand. As an avid traveler myself, my favorite modes of travel are by train, or my favorite, by motorcycle, on America's backroads. This past summer, I covered 4,500 cross-country solo miles on my motorcycle. Now, this is not the fastest way to get from point A to point B. However, it does allow space to truly absorb and appreciate every moment of the journey and ultimately the destination. Today, we all get to be massively inspired by the journeys and destinations of COD's distinguished alumni. I would not be surprised if this gathering becomes the catalyst that ignites someone to face that next goal, dream, or conquest. The College of DuPage truly is the launching pad of dreams. I hope you are prepared to be inspired. It is my honor to introduce our presenters today. Our first presenter is Felix Bea Sr., who shares some common bonds with his niece, Nairis Baamon, both as her uncle and as an immigrant to the United States, ultimately also achieving success in his field.
Greetings, I am Felix Villa, and I proudly stand before you as Nairis Maria Baamon's uncle. Today, it is both an honor and a privilege to address you as we gather to celebrate Nairis' receipt of the Distinguished Alumni Award from College of DuPage. Reflecting on the journey, it feels as though it was just yesterday, when the year was 2008, I distinctly recall witnessing a range of emotions on Nairis' face: confusion, sorrow, frustration, disappointment, and a sense of being adrift. I can identify with Nairis' experience, having also arrived in the USA as an immigrant at the age of 12, grappling with the foreign language and culture. I vividly recall our conversations. During those times, reassuring Nairis that greatness laid ahead, I shared with her the conviction that this remarkable nation would present her with opportunities unparalleled elsewhere. The advice to approach each day one step at a time was a guiding principle. What has never ceased to amaze me is Nairis' resilience. She has always chosen the path less traveled, transforming each opportunity into a profound learning journey. Her unwavering commitment to resolve shine through in her tireless dedication to rectify wrongs, foster positive change, combat injustice, and advocate for the marginalized. Nairis embodies inspiration itself, setting a shining example of the qualities we should all aspire to. Were each of us to exhibit just a fraction of a dedication, a mere 5% in fighting inequality, challenging injustice, and refusing to accept no as the final answer, our world would not grapple with the crisis it faces today. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Nairis and the College of DuPage for affording me this platform to express the immense pride that fills my heart. Beyond the designation of uncle, I view Nairis as a daughter, It was an additional privilege to play a role in her wedding to the remarkable Marisa, a union that brought immeasurable joy to us all. In closing, I offer my sincere thanks and congratulate all recipients of this Distinguished Alumni Award from College of DuPage.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My speech will be in both Spanish and English to make it more accessible to as many people as possible. Hola a todos y gracias por estar acá. Mis palabras serán en español y en inglés para hacerle muchas más personas las puedan escuchar y entender. I want to start by thanking each one of you for taking the time to celebrate with us today. This means a lot. At a time of so many challenges, for so many people, coming together to celebrate and be joyful takes on a higher meaning. Quiero empezar agradeciendo a cada uno de ustedes por tomar tiempo para celebrar con nosotras hoy. Eso significa mucho. En este momento de tantas dificultades, para tantas personas, estar juntos para celebrar y estar alegres tiene un significado mucho más grande. Thank you to College of DuPage. Thank you to my family, my wife, my mom, and my siblings. Gracias a College of DuPage, gracias a mi familia, a mi esposa, mi mamá y mis hermanos. Thank you to my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. Thank you to my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law. Gracias a mis tíos, a mis primos, a mis tías, mis primas, a mi suegra y a mi cuñada. Thank you to my friends, my teachers, my mentors, and my colleagues. Gracias a mis amigos, mis maestros, mis mentores y mis colegas. Thank you for being here today. Gracias por estar aquí hoy. I am truly honored to receive this award. But it is important to emphasize that I am here because a lot of different people, many of them here today, believed in me and in my potential and used their privilege and resources to guide and support me. Me siento verdaderamente honrada de recibir este premio, pero es importante enfatizar que estoy aquí porque muchas personas diferentes, muchas de ellas que están aquí hoy, creyeron en mí y en mi potencial, y utilizaron sus privilegios y recursos para guiarme y apoyarme. People like my honors chemistry teachers here at COD, Dr. Richard Jarman. There he is. Dr. Jarman, who made sure I not only learned his material, but that I could also have access to research and scholarship opportunities to enrich and support my education. Personas como mi profesor de química con honores aquí en COD, el Dr. Richard Jarman, quien se aseguró de que no solo aprendiera el material, sino que también pudiera tener acceso a oportunidades de investigación y becas para enriquecer y respaldar mi educación. I am here because when I felt like I couldn't make it, many different people saw me, really saw me, and not only told me, but showed me I could do it, either through their support, their love, and guidance, or by being a source of inspiration with their actions in the face of adversity or injustice, just like my uncle. Estoy aquí porque cuando sentí que no podía lograrlo, muchas personas diferentes me vieron, realmente me reconocieron. Y no solo me dijeron, sino que me mostraron que definitivamente podía lograrlo, ya sea a través de su apoyo, amor y guía, o siendo una fuente de inspiración con sus acciones ante la adversidad o la injusticia, como me lo mostró mi tío. The world and your communities are full of people just like me, who need people to root for them and believe in them, to guide them. I encourage you to consider the incredible power you all have to create positive change in others, and use that power for not only your own benefit, but for the benefit of others as well. El mundo y sus comunidades están llenas de personas como yo, que necesitan personas que las apoyen y crean en ellos, que las guíen. Los animo a considerar el increíble poder que todos tienen para crear un cambio positivo en los demás y utilizar ese poder no solo para su propio beneficio, sino también para el de los demás. As I have your attention in a platform today, I also want to share with you my hopes and a call for action for the future. Como hoy tengo su atención y una plataforma, quiero también compartir con ustedes mis esperanzas y un llamado a la acción para el futuro. As someone who carries with me different identities as a physician, a Latina woman, a lesbian, a wife, and an immigrant, I want to live in a world in which our differences are not only respected but also celebrated. One in which we all do our best to create more spaces and opportunities for every human being, regardless of their status, their place of origin, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, or their physical and mental abilities to fulfill their own potential. Como alguien que trae diferentes identidades, como médica, mujer latina, lesbiana, esposa e inmigrante, quiero vivir en un mundo en que nuestras diferencias no solo sean respetadas, sino también celebradas, en el que todos hagamos nuestro mejor esfuerzo para crear más espacios y oportunidades para que cada ser humano, independientemente de su estatus, lugar de origen, etnia, raza, orientación sexual, identidad de género o sus capacidades físicas y mentales pueda alcanzar su propio potencial. Thank you. I envision a society that prioritizes public health. I'm a physician after all. And social justice with a focus on improving the lives of the most vulnerable and marginalized. I am not naive. I know this, of course, takes a lot of work and commitment, but it is possible. Imagino una sociedad que prioriza la salud pública y la justicia social con un enfoque en mejorar las vidas de las personas más vulnerables y marginadas. No soy ingenua. Por supuesto que requiere trabajo y compromiso, pero no es imposible, esto es posible. In the wealthiest nation on earth, we spend more than any country on healthcare and yet have the worst outcomes of all industrialized nations. We treat children seeking safety as criminals, and we fail to provide proper healthcare to the people that need it most because it's not profitable. En la nación más rica del mundo, la que vivimos todos nosotros, gastamos más que cualquier otro país en atención sanitaria y, sin embargo, tenemos los peores resultados de salud en todas las naciones industrializadas. Tratamos a los niños que buscan seguridad como delincuentes y no brindamos atención médica adecuada a las personas que más la necesitan porque no es rentable. We cater to the wealthy and exploit people and our planet for short-term gains while ignoring the long-term impacts of our action. This is not only inhumane, but also unsustainable. Priorizamos las necesidades de los ricos y explotamos a las personas y a nuestro planeta para obtener ganancias a corto plazo, mientras ignoramos los impactos a largo plazo de nuestras acciones. Esto no solo es inhumano, sino también insostenible. Please remember that you all have a voice and a responsibility as members of your communities. Please do not become numb to the injustices and the suffering that surrounds us. Recuerden que todos ustedes tienen una voz y una responsabilidad como miembros de sus comunidades. Por favor, no sean indolentes ante las injusticias y el sufrimiento que nos rodea. Please do everything you can to live a happy, joyful life, while also supporting opportunities for others to strive for the same. Please read, vote, and stay engaged. Por favor, hagan todo lo que puedan para vivir una vida feliz y alegre. Y al mismo tiempo, brinden oportunidades para que otros también puedan lograr lo mismo. Por favor, lean, voten y mantengan su mente abierta. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
I need my tissues. The next presenter is Tom Carter. Tom taught at College of DuPage beginning in 2000 until his retirement this year, making a rich 23-year career at the college. Here is the highly esteemed Tom Carter.
I would be hard-pressed to think of a young alumnus more deserving of this award than Miss Josie Suter. I worked pretty closely with Josie when she was here on campus, and I can say both as a scholar and as a leader, she was truly exceptional. When I first met Josie, she was a student in my honors physics class, and as I said, she was very impressive. I will say she had a habit of slipping into class about 5 to 10 minutes late on a pretty regular basis, but it was an 8 a.m. class, so I think we're going to cut her some slack there. But it was in her role as a leader that I really saw Josie's strengths. She was the president of the college's Engineering and Technology Club, and I came in as the advisor in the middle of the term. Josie had been in her role as a president for a while before I came in the situation. And I distinctly remember the very first meeting I was there that Josie stood up and said that a problem that had been a problem at last week's meeting was no longer a problem now, because Josie had walked down, personally spoken with the college's president, and worked the whole problem out. So between the president of the engineering club and the president of the college, we fixed the situation. And this is not the last time I saw Josie take a problem and see it through a positive end. She was concerned about the education of homeschool students, and so she led the way in creating a one-weekend course where, under the leadership of the college's engineering students, the homeschool students completed hands-on projects using the college's lab equipment. And she continued her outreach efforts when she was down in Urbana designing supportive equipment for people with disabilities. Her work here at the college won her the Student Leadership of the Year award, and she won a second award down in Urbana. I will say that it's not surprising to me, given her concern about improving the world and her skills as an engineer, that she wound up working for the Sense startup engineering company. This company is doing some very clever and innovative robotics work in support of renewable agriculture. As a student leader, as an outstanding scholar, and a very creative engineer, I think Josie Suter has shown herself to be impressive over and over and over again. I think I speak for the entire college when I say how proud we are to have her as an alumnus and to present her this award.
So thank you for coming and thank you for this award. I'd like to thank my parents, family, and friends for supporting me and helping me grow into the person that I am today. COD is where I gave robotics a try for the first time. It's where I gained confidence in my own leadership, and it's where I had amazing mentors that inspired me and encouraged me. The Engineering Pathways program lured out a focus and a discipline that I didn't even know that I had. I work at a robotics startup now, and I probably never would have even applied to the job had I not been in the Engineering and Tech Club. Heck, this is where I had my first job. Teresa Dietz used to be my 6th grade math teacher before she came to work at COD Human Resources. She told me there was a student position open, and I'll be honest, I was bad at the job, but everyone there was lovely, but I learned that I was terrible at keeping details straight, especially when sleep deprived. So now I use Excel to sort the details. COD to me is a place where people can come at any point in their life and have a transformative experience. I befriended everyone from homeschooled high schoolers finishing their STEM credits to veterans finding a new career. I was humbled by the grit and persistence I saw in my peers display every day. That grit became success with faculty willing to meet their students wherever they were and push them to new places. And that's one of COD's shining qualities. The faculty here is willing to go above and beyond to help their students reach their goals. Two professors that made a particularly large impact on me were the advisors to the Engineering and Tech Club, Dr. Tom Carter and Professor Carolyn England. If you gave Dr. Carter a challenge in an uncharted territory, he would probably be able to figure it out if you gave him enough time. He could tell you in a booming military voice about his time training in the Navy or working on his PhD. He found that if he struggled with something at first, he could succeed if he just kept chugging along. I think he believed the same in us. He was always there to help me navigate the room, reservation, bureaucracy, or instill confidence in me, despite being one of the few women engineers in the program. As advisor for the Engineering and Tech Club, he gave us a lot of freedom to try new things and make mistakes. Professor England did some work reining us back in. You know the term, "my eyes are bigger than my stomach"? Kind of felt like our 18 and 19-year-old eyes were a bit bigger than our calendars. We made it a habit of biting off more than we could chew. Through teamwork, creativity, and some reminders to not completely burn ourselves out from Professor England, we'd figure out how to chew it together. She kept us in touch with our own humanity, something engineering students have a habit of losing sight of behind cans of Red Bulls and aspirations to change the world. Dr. Carter and Professor England helped keep us on track and figure out how to bring our goals into focus. That kind of student-faculty relationship could only be grown in an environment where we got one-on-one attention from the people responsible for our education. One of the opportunities that arose from such great mentorship was the ability to re-enter our robotics team in the NASA robotic mining competition. We were one of 2 community colleges to participate in this national competition down in Florida. The difference in our age and experience became pretty apparent when we were invited by another team to go party on Cocoa Beach, and none of us were old enough to drink. My friend Michael wasn't even old enough to vote. Instead, we enjoyed some Jackbox games and Frisbee 500 in the motel parking lot when we weren't at the Kennedy Space Center competing. I can't even begin to describe the amount of things that team was able to accomplish that year. The engineering club felt like 4 or 5 clubs wrapped up into one mega club of people who thought studying together counted as socializing. We occupied this grimy little room called the Fishbowl, to the point where the past president, Dr. Rondo, walked by, probably smelled it, and then made plans to renovate it. I felt privileged to be a part of an effective team that was able to plant seeds for the next group of students. The engineering program was really special, is really special, and full of such bright people with incredible potential. The students that came after us accomplished even more impressive feats. It speaks to the environment the school provides and the support it's willing to give people just starting their educational journey. I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm so grateful that this institution exists for people like me and for people not like me. Community college is inherently inclusive, and COD does an amazing job at providing high-quality education for anybody that comes to seek it. Thank you to everyone who makes it such a valuable resource to the community. This kind of thing builds us all up, and we need more of that in our world. I'm honored that you've chosen me as a representative for the good that this college can do, and I appreciate the support I've been given to get here. Thank you.
I told you we were going to be inspired. I was right. I now have the pleasure of introducing another highly respected College of DuPage professor. With a career spanning from 1982 to her retirement in 2005, Alice Snellgrove made significant contributions to the college, notably in her leadership and expansion of the honors program.
What a great pleasure and honor it is to introduce a man whose time at COD was marked by outstanding achievements and the admiration of all who knew him, Rob Janisch. I first met Rob in the summer of 1996 when he entered COD in the Honors Scholar Program. Although a first-generation college student, Rob had an amazingly clear vision for his future, telling me then that he hoped to transfer to Duke University and major in a field that would ultimately prepare him for graduate school. I was impressed. I grew increasingly impressed as I watched Rob move forward, as he poured his energy into absorbing every experience, academic and personal, to grow and to develop his best self. He was an outstanding student and an expert at time management, a skill all too rare in college students. At COD, he completed almost triple the number of required honors courses, earning A's in all of them. Rob, of course, finished the Honors Scholar Program with flying colors and racked up other significant academic honors. He was a member of Phi Theta Kappa and Sigma Delta Mu, a recipient of the Carter Carroll Excellence in History Award, and one of the college's 2 nominees for Academic All-USA. In 1999, he graduated with 3 degrees and was named the college's outstanding male graduate. Rob's COD activities were not limited to academics. In fact, he loved sports and was the goalie for the college's nationally ranked soccer team. In addition, he demonstrated a deep commitment to serving others. This he did as a student ambassador, a member of the Honors Student Advisory Council, a frequent speaker at honors program events, and is a highly valued student worker in the COD tutoring service. Fulfilling his long-term dream, Rob transferred to Duke University, one of very few transfer students accepted worldwide, graduating with a bachelor's degree in economics and philosophy. Rob then began work at a prestigious Chicago law firm and later entered the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, earning a master's degree in finance. Currently, he serves as a senior paralegal at Kirkland & Ellis, LLP in Chicago, where he works with private equity, mergers, and acquisitions. Rob continues to serve others through tutoring and mentoring young men, volunteering in legal clinics, and recently, at College of DuPage, he endowed the Shirley M. Janisch Memorial Scholarship in honor of his late mother, who long championed his success. Like his mother and so many others, I'm very proud of him. Rob Janisch.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that introduction. I'd first like to thank my distinguished alumni, Nairis, Jacqueline, Rowan, and Josie. It's been a pleasure getting to know you today, and it's an honor to share this stage with such a unique and talented group of alums. Over the years, during the course of conversations that I've had with many different people, I've been asked, how exactly is it that you transferred from a community college to Duke University? My response to them is always either, how much time do you have? Or have you ever seen the movie Rudy? Because aside from me walking onto Duke's basketball team and playing for Coach K, it's kind of like that. Long history of interest in the school, its athletic programs, slipped through the cracks in high school, first person in my family to attend college, and I had a lot of help along the way. I've always hesitated to tell the story, even to my very close friends at Duke, in the interest of time, and because without the presence of so many of the people that helped me, I was always afraid it would seem like an exaggerated tale of self-glorification. However, after discussions with those same Duke friends who are now accomplished pediatric cardiologists, biomechanical engineers, ER pediatricians, and computational chemists, just to name a few, I've decided to share it with you all today because I feel it's the best way to honor so many of the teachers, coaches, professors, family, and friends who helped make my dream of attending Duke a reality. Nearly 25 years ago, being here brings back a lot of memories. So, my COD story starts back in the fall of 1995. I was the starting goalkeeper for Glenbard North soccer team, and after the team advanced to the super sectionals the year before, our senior laden squad had lofty ambitions of going downstate. That is, until we ran into the number one team in the state, St. Charles, and they blew us out in the sectional in early November. A couple days later, I remember going into my high school counselor's office after being asked by some of my AP class friends where I was applying to college. I sat down, told her my name, and she asked, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "I've always been interested in Duke." They were located in beautiful North Carolina, had a great academic reputation and basketball program. Their campus was filled with Gothic architecture, and their school colors were even my favorite shade of royal blue. She chuckled, though, wheeled around to her computer and pulled up my transcripts. She stared at the screen for a second and went, "Oh, where have you been?" To which I replied, "I've been here for 3.5 years. Our soccer team just got knocked out in the playoffs, and, my friends were applying to schools like Northwestern, University of Chicago, and U of I, and they said I should come and talk to you." So she told me that she was very sorry, but I had missed the application deadline to apply to Duke. But there were several other schools I could and should apply to. We settled on Wheaton College and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I dutifully took the applications home to fill them out. Upon showing them to my mom, however, she was less than pleased because she and my dad didn't have any money at the time saved for me to attend college. And even though U of I was only $11,000 a year back then, quite the bargain today, and $8,000 due to my Illinois State Scholar status, the thought of taking out student loans or applying for something we could not immediately pay for frightened her a great deal. Despite my pleading and sharing that my counselor thought I had a great chance of getting into both Wheaton and Illinois, my mom refused to sign the $25 U of I application check. I was both simultaneously heartbroken and angry, and I went upstairs to my room and poured out my thoughts on a sheet of notebook paper in the form of a short poem that included Northwestern and Duke. I then decided to leave the house and go for a run to air my frustrations. However, I didn't realize how amped up and angry I was until I started running, and sort of like Forrest Gump, I kind of just kept going until I'd run clear across town from Glendale Heights to Carroll Stream. I ended up at the front door of my freshman-sophomore basketball coach and FCA leader's house, John Chamberlain. He and his wife, Laren, could see I was not in a good way, and they invited me in. They gave me some water, listened, and prayed with me. And after talking me down for a couple of hours, John dropped me back off at home where I think my mom and dad were happy to see me after I left the house on foot and didn't tell them at all where I was going. Coach Chamberlain has continued to be a tremendous supporter of mine over the years, and I'm really thankful that he could be with us here today. That U of I check did end up getting signed, thanks to my dad and Aunt Ree for that one. And I was fortunate to get in both to Wheaton and U of I, but my family still didn't really have the money for it. And I knew if I went to either school, I'd settle in, make friends, and I'd be giving up on my dream of attending Duke. So my counselor suggested I look into College of DuPage and its honors program. After working all summer and buying a car, in late July, I drove over to campus for an honors orientation meeting, not really sure of what to expect. I made my way up to the third floor of the IC building on a hot summer morning and settled into a classroom with a bunch of other high school students when a tall woman with a warm southern accent entered the room. She smiled and introduced herself as Al Snowgrove, the honors program coordinator at College of DuPage, and began to share with us the benefits of the COD honors program. She spoke about the Honors Scholar Retreat, the enriched nature of the courses, and the honors faculty who actually applied to teach them. What it meant to be an Honors Scholar graduate, as well as the achievements that many honors scholars in recent years had won, like the Cardinal Carroll Excellence in History Award, Academic All-American Team, College of DuPage's Outstanding Male and Female Graduate Awards. She also mentioned that honor students in recent years had transferred to schools like Northwestern, the University of Chicago, Georgetown, and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I began writing the awards and opportunities she spoke of on the back of the carbon copy honors program application in list form. I then tore off the program copy and walked up to Alice to turn it in. I introduced myself and said, "My name is Rob Janish, and I want to transfer to Duke University." She looked me up and down and kindly accepted my application, but she had an "okay, we'll see" kind of look on her face as she did so. Looking back, it reminds me of a scene in the movie Rudy where he's asked why he wants to attend Notre Dame, and he says, "Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to go to school here. And ever since I was a kid, everyone said it couldn't be done. My whole life, people have been telling me what I could and couldn't do. I've always listened to them, believed in what they said. I don't want to do that anymore." I would come to realize years later that that was the moment that my journey to Duke truly started. I also vividly remember the day my application to Duke was due. I had decided to stay a third year at COD because I had joined the college's nationally ranked soccer team until my sophomore year. We went to nationals and finished fourth and had almost all of our players coming back, and we were preseason #1 in the country, and not because of me. And I thought we had a great chance of winning it all. I had won the Cardinal Carroll Excellence in History Award, accumulated enough credits to graduate, and was named to the Academic All-American team, but I was still very insecure beneath the surface about my application to Duke that fall. I was petrified that I had not done enough, that I would not stack up with their competitive transfers from all over the country and overseas. And no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't cut my essays down to the required number of words Duke was asking for. So on the day my application was due, and it was mailed back in those days, I had planned to meet with Alice to go over my final application packet. She had helped me to create a beautiful laminate white folder with a blue ribbon tied through it, and inside I had included the poem I wrote the night my mom wouldn't sign my application check to U of I, the carbon copy honors program application with a list of honors on the back, with every item checked off except the last one, which read, "Transfer to Duke University." I went to Alice's office and I asked her to review my 3 application essays. She read them and liked their content, but immediately noticed they were a bit long. Upon noticing that each one was about twice as long as it needed to be, she asked me when the application was due. When I told her today, she scolded me kindly, as she always did, and told me that I needed to cut them down to Duke's word limit requirements and urged me to trust that all the work I'd put in was enough. As it was already early afternoon, she took out a red pen and she marked up all 3 of my essays like wildfire. She then got up, left me the keys to her office, and said she had to go to a meeting, but that I should revise the essays on her computer, print them out, lock up afterwards, and hightail it over to the post office before it closed, as Duke may not be as forgiving as her if my application was postmarked even 1 day late. I heeded her words and finished typing up my essays at 4:45. As most post offices closed at 5 p.m. sharp, I went over to the regional post office in Carroll Stream, which just happened to be on my way home as it closed at 6 p.m. I got there at 5:45, mailed in the application, went home and crashed, completely exhausted. Fast forward roughly 3 months later to the day I'll remember most about my time at College of DuPage, May 14th, 1999. It was a Friday morning, and I'd sent in my application to Duke several months earlier. I had no classes on Fridays and was scheduled to attend a student ambassador meeting with fellow volunteers run by admissions coordinator Chris Lesner, and she always had snacks for us after the meetings. Before I left my house, I checked the mailbox, but as it was before 10 a.m., the mail hadn't arrived yet. After finishing the meeting, which had gotten moved from its original location due to a classroom conflict, I was standing around talking to some fellow student ambassadors when Alice burst into the room. She immediately ran over to me, embraced me, and said, "You're in." I was a bit startled and looked at her and said, What do you mean? How do you know?" And she said that she went on to explain that my acceptance package to Duke had arrived via FedEx after I left the house that morning. My mom I had called her to tell her the news, and as she had no way of getting a hold of me because the meeting had been moved and nobody at admissions knew where I was, she told Alice that she wanted her to find me so she could tell me the news. For the next 2 hours, Alice paraded me around the halls of the college in a victory tour of sorts, stopping at the offices of all my professors, Dr. Murphy, all the people who had made my Duke dream their own. I then went to Kinko's, where I had 100 copies of the admissions letter made in Duke blue, and I delivered copies of it to my dad at his work at Heritage Cadillac in Lombard, to my Aunt Rita at her home in Glen Ellen. Adding to the memories of the day was the coincidence that that night was the college's celebration of academic excellence. As I was brought up on stage with the college's other honor scholars that evening, I remember President Michael Murphy, who was a tremendous advocate of mine and the honors program, announcing to the crowd that I had been admitted to Duke. In the back of the auditorium, I could see my mom and my dad, who had rushed home from work to make sure they could attend. Alice recently told me via email that she will never, ever forget that incredible day, and I certainly share her feelings on that. In closing, I just want to thank President Caputo, Vice President Johnson, and the selection committee for this wonderful honor, and I hope my fellow distinguished alums won't feel slighted when I say I hope the best is yet to come for me and my family as we award the first ever Shirley M. Janish Memorial Scholarship to a COD honors student this fall in honor of my late mother, who we lost unexpectedly late last year. I'd like to leave you all with just these 2 words that Alice closed every email and letter I've ever received from her with. Many thanks. Many thanks.
Tim Keefe, who is also a College of DuPage alumnus, met Rowan Miranda during their days as classmates together at the college. They went on to not only build a successful business together, but also to forge a lifelong friendship.
I met Rowan back in 1981, right here at COD. We kept in touch throughout undergrad and then ran a finance and technology advisory business for government. That business that we built together is still running today with more than 700 engagements completed. I remember the first day I met Rowan was when he picked up one of my note cards, and I followed him outside the classroom, and he stated he wanted to study together. My first thought was, what could this 17-year-old teach me about anything? And that Saturday, he invited me to play football, and we did, after studying for 4 hours, and then 4 more hours after the game. You could read Rowan's accomplishments in his bio, his doctorate from the University of Chicago, his teaching positions at Carnegie Mellon and U of C, and the numerous publications he has authored, or his expertise in government strategy as a senior managing partner for Workday. But what you won't read is that he would take double the full-time course load in college. He works hard, but there's always an element of fun. You won't read about his insistence on teamwork and his willingness to share credit with colleagues. And you won't read about his efforts to maintain relationships throughout a lifelong educational and professional career. To me, it's amazing the number of colleagues, former colleagues, students, and people that have worked for Rowan that maintain regular contact and seek his advice. But what I admire most about Rowan is that life throws all of us unforeseen obstacles, yet I have never seen him waste time on the why or on excuses, and you can feel his energy as he rises up to meet those challenges. That's Rowan Miranda, and I'm proud to introduce him as a distinguished alum of College of DuPage.
great to be back on campus. This is a very different campus from 40 years ago. I want to thank Walter and President Caputo for their friendship. We just connected a couple of years ago, and it's been fun getting to know them. I also want to thank Tim for that introduction. We have been lifelong friends since we met at College of DuPage. We also fight like cats and dogs from everything about the NFL to politics. And I want to thank everyone attending, especially my family and friends. I'm clearly the most senior alumnus here, looking at my... but as Tim mentioned, I was 17 when I started at the College of DuPage. Now I've got to start with the when I attended College of DuPage. So when I attended, think about it, Ronald Reagan was president, Styx was a popular band, and the Chicago Bears were mediocre, but just a few years from Super Bowl greatness. And that was a long time ago. My family immigrated straight from India to Wheaton 50 plus years ago. I went to elementary school all the way through high school, right here in DuPage County. My high school is now called Mariano's, but back then it was called Wheaton Central. I met my lovely wife, Sally, as an undergrad in UIC in the mid-1980s, and 39 years later, we have 4 kids and 2 grandkids. We live in Orland Park. After some stints living in Pittsburgh and Ann Arbor, and I really want to thank her because wherever my job took me, she came along, so that was great. Career-wise, we all have a different journey. I loved hearing the journey of my fellow distinguished alumni, but nearly all of my area of training has been in accounting and financial management, so it's not as exciting as robotics, for example. I worked throughout my entire time in college. In graduate school, I worked at the City of Chicago for Mayor Harold Washington's office and the American Medical Association, mostly as a data analyst. I finished graduate work and took a position at the University of Pittsburgh, teaching a number of courses, all related to government and finance. But after about 5 years of teaching full-time, the academic life was just too slow for me. I enjoyed teaching and research, but it didn't feel like I was solving any practical problems. But one day I get a call from the University of Pittsburgh Chancellor's office to help an incoming mayor in Pittsburgh. And at the time, Pittsburgh was facing a lot of challenges. The population had gone from 750,000 to about half that. The city was running deficits, major problems, lots of unemployment. But I jumped at the chance. It seemed like a very difficult but interesting opportunity to run the city finances. And after that stint, I basically decided to focus my career on improving government. So although I didn't teach full-time anymore, I still ended up teaching part-time for nearly 25 years. And that's mostly what I'm doing today, which is still working in government and with higher ed institutions using technology to help improve performance and address their operational challenges. Let's talk about the impact of COD on my life. I don't think there's a standard formula to do well in college or plan out a career. As you heard, everybody's journey is different. There are always twists and turns. For me, the absolute wrong move after high school would have been to go to a 4-year college. I didn't know what I wanted to study. My parents didn't have the money. I definitely wanted to work part-time, and I just wasn't ready to leave home. At the time, my world travels were largely limited to going to Wrigley Field for a Cubs game. That was a really far trip from Wheaton in those days. Some of the best instructors I had in the 11 years of college, right from undergrad to grad, were at the College of DuPage. I remember telling Walter and President Caputo this when I first met them. The fact that I still remember, and we still remember, the names of some of those instructors makes the point. So my memorable courses were in microeconomics, Western civilization, statistics, logic, and business law. So for example, my econ instructor had an MA from University of Chicago, and more than anything else, I focused on getting into the University of Chicago. I didn't get in right away, like Rob, ambition to get into Duke. Mine was I had to make a stop at the University of Illinois Chicago to do it. Another memorable course, and this was a fun one, I had an outstanding business law teacher, Dr. Marvin Siegel. And Dr. Siegel was a lawyer, University of California, Berkeley grad, if I remember. He taught here from 1970 to 1995. And He was a lawyer for B-movie companies in Los Angeles, so movies like Frankenstein meets Wolfman, those type of movies. But he was fantastic in the classroom. I remember him, he would ask, in the eyes of common law, who is always right? And that was a question he'd ask. And somebody'd say Plato, somebody'd say Aristotle, somebody'd say Oliver Wendell Holmes. And the correct answer was the average reasonable person, but somebody inevitably would say God. And that's when he'd point to them and say, you must be from Wheaton. But there's a little secret that they don't tell you when you're deciding on a college or university, that the top research institutions, I was at some of them, University of Chicago, University of Michigan, Carnegie Mellon, et cetera, don't necessarily have the best teachers. If you're great at research, that doesn't necessarily mean you are good in the classroom. This institution, College of DuPage, does an excellent job preparing students for advanced study by stimulating their curiosity. It definitely did that for me. I'm hoping in the years to come I can get more involved as an alumnus and support philanthropic efforts here. And I'm proud to accept this award, join this distinguished group, and I'm grateful for the recognition. Thank you.
Our final introduction is being made by Luz Caro Palisi. Much like her dear friend, Luz embodies the spirit of a passionate and captivating entrepreneur.
It is my pleasure to introduce to you Distinguished Alumni Honoree Jacqueline Ruiz. She wholeheartedly believes that landing on your dreams is mandatory. This two-time cancer survivor lives every day of her life with her mission to inspire, motivate, and elevate all women that cross her path. She was born in Mexico City, a little girl with big dreams. At the age of 13, she comes to the U.S., the land of amazing opportunities. Fast forward a little over 3 decades, this beautiful, bright-eyed young entrepreneur has 2 successful award-winning companies, 2 nonprofit organizations, over 32 books filled with innovation and vision with the largest collection of Latina stories in the world. She has made presentations across 4 continents, including icons such as Dr. Sanjeev Chopra and producer Rick Nahara. I can go on for hours regarding Jacqueline. This amazing woman not only helps the young Latinas with her Fig Factor Foundation, she also helps older ones like me. 8 years ago, I was a shy 45-year-old with glossophobia. That's the fear of public speaking. And look at me now. Thanks to this loving, inspiring, energetic servant leader that believed in me. Jacqueline is such a generous, amazing soul. Everyone that comes in her way, she helps in one way or another. She can go drive fast cars. She can fly small airplanes. She'll still take that moment to send you that message knowing that you were in need of. So let's welcome this beautiful, amazing young lady with her words, taking off is optional, but landing on your dreams is mandatory. Help me welcome Jacqueline Ruiz.
There I was at Northwestern Hospital right before graduating College of DuPage. I was connected to every tube you can think of. I hear the words, "Doctor, she's awake." And the doctor proceeds to come into the room to say, "You're lucky to be alive." I didn't know what he was referring to. But he proceeded to tell me that I might die in the next 2 weeks or be fed out of a tube for the rest of my life. You see, this was the second time that I had heard the word cancer at just the age of 23. And I clearly remember that when he said those words, I said, My biggest dream had been to be an entrepreneur in the land of dreams. I don't have time to die. Plus, I can't be fed out of a tube for the rest of my life because I love tacos, right? So in my spirit, I looked at him and I said, "Doctor, I just have one question." He said to me, "Sure. May I please leave Northwestern on Thursday between 8:30 and 8:45 because I have finals at College of DuPage and I'm graduating with honors." A few days later, I showed up to campus with a long jacket. You see, they had completely reconstructed my digestive system. I was born with a rare condition that happens in 1 out of 150,000 people in this part of the world. So they had to get rid of my gallbladder, bile ducts, cut the intestine in half, and connect it to the liver. Therefore, for the next 2 weeks, I had a tube with a bag that was gonna determine if I was gonna live or not. I wore a long jacket, and I decided not to burden anybody with the fact I was battling for my life, because to me, that wasn't even a choice. I had just started my company with a laptop that my boyfriend had given me. We had gotten married very young, and I had a 5-month-old baby, a brand new business. This is my chance. Came in, did my finals, graduated with honors. And even though my pathway of entrepreneurship, my desire, my yearning was to go to college, get my bachelor's, get my master's, get my PhD. I'm such a nerd. I love learning. Therefore, I've taken German, Japanese, become a pilot, because I always love to learn. But life took me a different direction. I started experiencing success as an entrepreneur. And even though a lot of people saw me as this fiery Latina with lots of ideas, but I had a lot of power to land on those ideas. And that was the perfect combination for the world of marketing. My professor, Sonny, right here from College of DuPage, would become one of my biggest mentors, guiding me to go to the SCORE office here at College of DuPage so that I can get my QuickBooks app to get started on creating invoices. Not too long ago, I was invited to participate at a scaling program for Latino entrepreneurs at Stanford University. There was a little catch. I needed to be a $1 million company. And I still remember that I was shy of $1 million. I applied to the program, and they told me a resounding no. Of course, not giving up, I found one of the professors, one of the esteemed professors at Stanford University on LinkedIn. I reached out and I said, "Could you give me a chance? I'm $120,000 shy of $1 million. I've built this on my own. Give me an opportunity." He said, "You have an amazing story. Your story is incredible. I'm inspired. But this program is about economic impact." Part of me, like my fellow distinguished alumni, I was upset. I said, I have spent my life sharing stories, elevating stories, publishing books, 33 of my own. It cannot be possible that stories don't matter. So I said, what if I can combine the two? I worked really hard that May through November. And by then, I had accomplished the $1 million goal. Thank you. Of course, being an overachiever, I said I need to go beyond that. So I still had December left, and I closed the year at $1.1 million. I became the first one to apply in the program, and after 13 weeks, I wish there were 50 weeks because I love learning, I became the speaker, the representative for 77 multi-million-dollar Latino entrepreneurs to, guess what, share my story on stage at Stanford. So when you think you can't, and when you think you're not able to do that, and you cannot become the 1.6% of Latina and women-owned businesses in the United States with over $1 million, or whatever your path takes you, I just want to remind you that sometimes you choose a mission, and sometimes the mission chooses you. And recently, I did one of the craziest things, much like our beautiful presenter. I turned 40 years old earlier this year, and I decided that I was going to celebrate in the way that would be the craziest way. and decided to pack my airplane with 400 teddy bears and fly across the United States to 4 states that had significant presence in the aviation world to deliver 400 teddy bears to kids across the United States. I flew 1,347 nautical miles, the equivalent of 10 hours of flight. And when I landed, I was spent, I was exhausted, but my heart was completely filled with happiness and joy. You see, I think that life is measured in micro moments of happiness. And moments like this become the macro moments, which are the result of the compound effect of everything you do day in and day out. So if you're having a moment, if you're thinking that you can't, if you're thinking that you're never going to achieve your dream, I want to remind you that you are being noticed, that your story is being noticed. And the only way that you can encapsulate and create a beautiful legacy is by sharing it. So I want to encourage you today to remember that taking off is optional and landing on your dreams is mandatory. Thank you.
Wow. I screwed up. I didn't go to College of DuPage. just saying. What amazing stories. What an incredible morning we've had. Can we have one last great round of applause for all of our This has been such a great pleasure for me to be a part of this, and literally I'm just a part of it. There's a whole team of people connected to our advancement office, the foundation, that all play such a significant role in this. And I get to dress up, put on the bow tie, come up here and speak, but the hard work and the dedication really goes to the whole team. And this particular event was led by Amy Fries. I don't know where Amy is, but if we could give Amy a round of applause. Thank you, Amy, for everything you did. I also want to make sure that there's a little bit of understanding of who Angel is. She's not the coat presenter. She's one of our alumni executive committee members, and as I mentioned before, she was the 2022 one of the 2022 Distinguished Alumni. But she is also just recently, and she's probably happy because there's a lot of work, is the most recent past president of the DuPage County Bar Association. So impressive in her own right. Thank you for helping us out this morning. Really appreciate it. So there are 3 things that I'm supposed to say here, and if I don't, I can't go back to the office. I grew up with 7 sisters, which prepared me for working in an office where I work for all women. You heard me say I work for. You did hear that. They don't work for me. And I am so blessed to be a part of that team. But these 3 things I'm supposed to say. There's a QR code on the back of your program where you can donate and or nominate for next year's awards. And I'm learning there are so many great alums out there. We really encourage you to use that QR code, give us names. We'll do the research in the background, but we want to make sure that we don't overlook anyone who is deserving of this award. As I mentioned when we got started, until today, there were only 50. We now have 55, and I want to keep that growing. I'm also supposed to remind this year's class to stick around because there's pictures that we need to take of you, and I forgot to do that last year, and I paid for that, so please stick around, okay? And there's dessert for everyone, so you can stick around and celebrate together, and I've got a fan of dessert over here. You and me, guy, we are of the same mind. Yes, sir. We can do that. And then finally, if you have time, join us at the football game. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock, and all past alums, all past and newly inducted distinguished alumni will be recognized at halftime of today's football game. I'd like to again thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dr. Caputo, for your leadership and your participation today. Our Board of Trustees and Chair Finney, the Foundation Board led by Karen Kuhn. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you, family and friends, for being here. We really appreciate all that you've done to support this group, and we honor the things that you've accomplished. One last round of applause before we leave this morning.